Third down and 10. 25 seconds to go. Flacco takes the shotgun snap and drops. Looks up to see, fires, caught! Touchdown! Garrett Wilson scores! A miracle here in Cleveland. I can't believe it.
This is Daniel Smith from Jets Guru. Welcome to the show. All gas, no brakes. Let's go, Jets. Woo!
What's going on, Jets Nation? CJ the Painkiller D. Simone here, and you are watching Jets Guru. Now, give it up for your host, Mr. Daniel Smith!
What is going on, Jets Guru Nation? Thank you for tuning in. It's a nation now. We got our followers. We got our 3-year followers. I see you guys with your little badges on there and on the page. You know, we're in it, man. We're 4 years in now. Excuse me. Got a little eye boogie. 4 years in now. Super excited to be doing this weekly with you guys. The responses to the write-ups as I share the page, excuse me, my eyes leave the screen. The write-ups, the responses to that have been absolutely amazing. You know, I know some of you guys aren't going to agree with everything that I say, and that's okay. We don't have to agree on every single thing. You know, I love differing opinions. I like learning things. The guru tag is only something I do, you know, to have a nice page name. I do put in a lot of work. I do watch the games. I do watch them twice. A lot of times I'm watching, reading, studying, doing the best I can to give you the best fan-led New York Jets program that's out there. And I think we do a pretty good job. We got Ramon on Twitter. He's like hot hidden away, man. I haven't seen Ramon in months, but he's on Twitter all the time. If you're not on there, please, at Guru Jets. We got the YouTube page popping. JR's got it going. So if you're tuning in from YouTube, what's going on, guys? Good to see you. Keep tuning in there. Keep sharing. And the people on Facebook who are watching right now, thank you for tuning in. And hey, thank you for all the stars, man, on the videos. What I wanted to tell you guys, we got this star thing that we're able to do because we have enough people now on our page, so people can actually tip us and help support the show, which is going to help bring more and more merch, more ticket giveaways, more meetups, and different things like that. So we really appreciate that, and keep sending them. And thank you so much. With that being said, guys, you guys saw the video. It was just mind blowing. Okay, it was mind blowing what I saw last week. That's something you probably won't see again. You know, I was watching you know, that miracle against the Dolphins, sitting on my bed in high school, knowing that I was going to get killed by the Dolphin fans. I lived in South Florida at the time. And to see the Jets come back and win that game was absolutely amazing. And I'm glad I got to see it. And this is another one I'm glad I didn't miss. And this is what happens when you watch every single game, is that you get an opportunity to see things like this. And yeah, it sucks that you got to wait so long to see it. But hey, we're here now. Let's not look in the past. Let's look into the future.
Hey, that's a shout out to Jay. Jay just sent 200 stars to the page. I can't bring it up, but I want to give him a shout out. So each time y'all send one, the horns will blow, baby.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the love. All this stuff is going to be turned into things to give back to the Jets Guru community and have fun with it. I'm not going to be a millionaire from this. That's not why I do this. I do this because it's a passion of mine. So thank you very much. That game was crazy. You know, I went on 2 minutes before the game was over because I use a Fire Stick, and it's usually like 2 or 3 plays behind. That's why when I'm watching like certain baseball games or something, I'll tell my buddies, please don't tell me anything. I'm like probably a hitter and a half of, you know, behind you a lot of times, not every time, but a lot of times. So I said, you know, after Chubb scored the touchdown, I figured by the time I got off, like they had to do the kickoff, a couple plays, and then it's over, right? So I'm not leaving the game. The game is on. I always leave the game on while I do the show. And, you know, I'm keeping my eye on the game as I'm talking and kind of going through things. And all of a sudden I see Corey Davis wide open, boom, touchdown. I'm like, okay, that's nice for Corey Davis. That's great. Back-to-back weeks, put up some stats for himself. I have a feeling that he's going to kind of get phased out of this offense as the year goes on, unless there's an injury. Wilson is too dynamic. Moore is too dynamic. I like the way they use Berrios. For me, I just don't see where Corey really fits in this offense, except for the fact that he's a really good run blocker. He's a bigger guy, gives you a little bit more presence, but the offensive style you could see will flourish around guys like Moore and Wilson. But I'm happy for him, right? Because he's healthy, he's catching the ball, whatever. Touchdown, good to go. Bam. Thank you for the share, by the way. I mean, I'm like, all right, we're talking, and I know they're going to have to do the onside kick, standard procedure stuff. I'm talking, and I'm still watching. And then it comes to me, and I remember I'm a few plays behind. So I stop looking at the comments, and I tell everyone, listen, I'm not looking at your comments. I'm not ignoring you here. I want to watch this as we're talking here, because now it's starting to get a little interesting. So, man, beautiful onside kick. Couldn't have been done any better. Jets recover. So I start getting a little bit more excited here as we're going live. And then all of a sudden, the drill, no timeouts, march down the field, and boom, right to Wilson. Right to Wilson. And it's funny, right? Because I think Kevin shared a post, right, JR, if either it was you or Kevin with the Browns fan, the beginning of the game to the end of the game.
Yeah, that was me.
And it was funny because when Wilson made that crucial drop in the game, which is tough for a young guy, right? Because, you don't want to be that guy that makes a mistake that could put your team over the edge. And he dropped it. He goes, oh, Njoku fingers. He dropped it, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, that guy in front of the TV screen got to watch Wilson be the savior of that game for the New York Jets. It couldn't have gone any better. I'm actually going to make a little clip of him talking about that with Wilson, scoring that touchdown, a little hype video for him. I love that, man. Listen, I am happy about this game, and I was happy before the comeback. And here's the reasons why. The reason why I was happy about that comeback is that, listen, the running game, unbelievable to me, in my opinion. Stick with it. How is Breece Hall going to get better as a football player? How is he going to get better if you're not using him, if you're not running him? How is Michael Carter going to get better if you stop using him in the second half in a winnable game at that point? Run the ball even when it doesn't work. That's what the Giants have been doing. That's what young football teams should be doing. Even with the veteran quarterback, you should be running the football. And I'm glad that they stuck to it, 22 carries, 90-something yards, just to offset it a little bit. Now, in the first half, they were having a hard time with, the edges with Clowney and Garrett, until my boy, Joe Flacco, broke Clowney's ankle. Go back and watch the play. My boy hooked him around, Clowney, and he dropped. Now, I don't wish no ill will on anyone, but when you get your ankles broken basically by Joe Flacco and now you're injured and can't play, you're going to come on now. You're going to get clowned just a little bit, all right? And I mean, everything about the game to me, Kevin, and welcome in, everything about the game Sunday, it just, even if the Jets didn't come back and win, I felt like a lot of the questions that they had at the end of the game, where everyone was like, why didn't Wilson play enough? Why didn't you run the football? What happened to Greg the leg? Why does Joe Flacco look like the game has passed him by 3 times over? Why did the offensive line look like this? What happened on the back end in coverage? All these different things, they were able to provide some answers in this game that was really exciting. And, and also there were a couple things that were revealed, like, the Browns ran for almost 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, whereas in the first game, they were a little bit better against the run. So listen, when you see something like that, the Browns just kind of do that. You know what I mean? They have a good offensive line, top 5 offensive line. They got Chubb is an amazing back. Hunt is a great complementary back. So I'm not going to really kill the Jets on that. But I really thought that they answered a lot of questions, which was really exciting. Joe Flacco, I have to tip my cap to him, Kevin. I really feel like he was a little faster with the decision making. Obviously, Clowney getting hurt in that game really, to me, changed how he was able to pass the football. I felt like after that, it was really hard for them to turn that corner and put extra pressure. I think Mitchell did a good job all around since he's been installed into the offensive line. He's holding his own. Remember, guys, he's a rookie going against some of the best rushers in the game. Okay. I've seen tackles with way more cachet than Mitchell getting beat on the corner. So let me tell you, I think he's doing a solid job for us right now, the best that you can do. And Kevin, what was your thought, even without the comeback, just how they were able to rebound from that first game against Baltimore?
First things first, we got to look at what the season is. And we got a lot of young, developing talent that's going to get better as the season progresses, and they spend longer amounts of times in our systems, both offensive and defensively. And you're starting to see when you have this many high draft picks like the Jets have had, right? This is 2 years in a row where we've kind of had top 20 picks, right? This year, 3 first round. I mean, you got to start getting some elite Pro Bowl talent. Like literally since Jamal Adams, and Jamal Adams was the one of a few, we didn't have like 3 or 4 Pro Bowlers that you build around. But when you have this many first round picks, you got to start getting those guys who are difference makers. And also kind of those foundation guys that you're like, all right, like he's a plug and play. He's a dependable, he's a reliable guy. And this is when those guys are kind of formed, when they're molded, when you're ready to become a playoff team. These are those battle-tested games where you get those little chinks on the armor that make you better long-term, whether you win or lose. And that's exactly how Mr. Smith wrapped this up, right? Whether we win or lose, what do you kind of take from this? And Garrett Wilson is a superstar. And the thing that both the coaches and the players learn between 1 week and week 1 and week 2, if I could speak, is they didn't get him enough targets. They didn't get him the ball enough. They didn't even get him in the rotation the way that his talent deserved. And he showed that with a smaller sample size. So the coaches, and what we're learning as fans, went back, looked at that game tape, and said, all right, this is a guy who needs double-digit targets, which a number 10 pick should. But he's ready for it by week 2. And while he's going to have some drops, guys, and you'll talk about Jamar Chase last year. How many drops did he have? But you need to get him on that Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson trajectory, and that comes with targets and getting game tape that he can learn from. And the Jets use this game to say, hey, Max Mitchell against Clowney, against Garrett. Let's get some game tape. But I can tell you, AVT, Garrett Wilson showed you they are right now big-time players that can win you football games on Sunday. They're going to be reliable, get them 12 targets, get them 6 to 8 catches a game. And AVT is top 5 offensive guards. You got a Quentin Nelson caliber offensive guard right now. 2 things, boxes checked. You have an elite caliber receiver, and you have a Pro Bowl caliber guard. And Max Mitchell got key reps at right tackle against elite talent. Like, this is how you build a foundation for a winning future. I think that's what you see from a game like this.
Absolutely. And it was a breakout game for Garrett Wilson. I mean, you can't get any more excited because, everyone's pinning all their hopes on Elijah Moore all the time. Elijah Moore, Elijah Moore, Elijah Moore. And to me, Elijah Moore is going to have his time when Zach Wilson comes back, because that, to me, is how Elijah Moore runs routes and plays football fits exactly what I think Zach Wilson wants in a receiver, and that's why he looks to him. And I think Garrett Wilson is going to be a guy too. And now that you see his emergence, it's just amazing. Like, I mean, he is uncoverable, at least right now. I mean,
for sure.
You just look at literally every play, every route that he runs. It's like, oh, Garrett Wilson's open. Oh,
He's
Garrett
open.
Wilson's open. He's open.
He's open.
He's open. And so I'm just super excited about that. And what?
But one thing I
ahead.
just want to add on that is that Wilson is also a very mature player. I don't know how many of our viewers pay attention to college football, but for those of you who know me and Krista, we talk college football year round. But he's from a system that had Jamison Williams, like the guy for Alabama who went number 13, and Chris Olave. So there was games in the first half of his career at Ohio State where he didn't get Chris Olave got all the attention.
Mhm.
Justin Fields and him put up big stats, and he knew when to be number 2. And then what happened is his final year at Ohio State is when he emerged and said, "Hey, it's okay to be the best like wide receiver on the team." And Jamison Williams went to Alabama, so it was just him and Olave. And Wilson took off and jumped to the 10. So it's one of those things. I see this happening again where Elijah Moore, some weeks, he's going to be the guy that gets 150, like we saw against Miami last year. And Wilson is mature enough to take a back seat when the other guy is hot. That's something for the fans to know, is he's been in this situation with a lot of elite talent around him.
Absolutely. And I mean, and something about his play style that I really like is the agility after the catch. I mean, you've seen it so many times already. You saw it in the first game. The first game was amazing because how he was chopping up the Ravens, just getting an extra 2, 3 yards and making that first down close. And then you look at last week's game where he caught a ball that was way high and out of bounds, still caught the ball, got racked in the back, and then fell and still held on to the ball, but his feet were just out. This is the type of ability. When you look at him, this isn't like some small slot receiver. This is a guy that could play all over the field, just like Elijah Moore, who's smaller in stature, like all over the field. And I think that dynamic ability is going to serve well for a quarterback who likes to throw the ball, moving around all these different arm angles, that he has the ability to do so. With Flacco, I think, LaFleur has to call the game not to Flacco's play style, but you got to make it easier for him because he can't roll out, he can't move out. You do have a rookie at right tackle. You do have a guy in Fant that was a little banged up to start the season. It's not as easy as we thought it was going to be. But you know what? The team never quit. And I was super excited about that. Brees Hall was finally able to get going, and I hadn't seen him get going since they drafted him. So that was nice. And I love this little complimentary backfield they have of Michael Carter and Brees Hall, and whoever has like the hotter day kind of just takes the lead for a while. I like that because it keeps you on your toes as a player. Like, all right, I got to bring my best performance to get those extra reps. Now, Matthias says, would you trade Davis? No, absolutely not. Not at least this season. The thing about it is the injuries. You've seen the Jets be completely ravaged by injuries. I mean, the last 5 years probably. But the thing about it is you don't want to take weapons. You don't want to take weapons away from Zach Wilson. You want to add weapons. So if the luxury is having Corey Davis on the field who gets 4 catches for 50 something yards a game and he's not the 100-yard a game receiver, that is just fine with the New York Jets. Corey Davis is getting paid. Right now, Corey Davis is right behind probably Wilson for the most yards on the team. And you know what I mean? And so I'm super excited. I'm super excited about the future of this football team, specifically because of the matchup that we're going to get into with the Bengals soon enough. But I just want to get to a couple of the responses that the fans have here because I don't want to leave them out. So we're going to start with the comments. Actually, no, I can look at them from right here. They're both of them at the same time. That's great. Eric, welcome. He says, a little late. What's up, fellas? Nice to have you in. Guru and Kevin, I feel with Sauce and Reed in the backfield and put Will Parks in the middle, Jeff Ulbrich should blitz. Well, that's what Whitehead is there too, to come up and do and kind of stack that box. I mean, he's more of the hammer. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know how many plays did Will Parks even play in the last game? I mean,
Still a lot of joining. I mean, guys, we have Diggs and Davis 2 times a year. We have Waddle and Hill 2 times a year. We're not taking safeties out of the deep zones of the field. Like, I just don't see that. Like,
Yeah.
right? I mean, against New England, I'm all for it, right? Because they're doing that mid-range stuff, a lot of tight end work, and you got some linebackers that can pick up where the safeties come in. But guys, we got some big-time players in our division, right? I mean, we all saw the offseason. Allen's got the arm, so you get him 2 receivers that can get open down the field. And while I think Sauce and Reed can play on an island, you don't want to live on that, right?
Right.
Like even with Revis, Rex Ryan used to do the changeup. Remember when he picked off that weak one ball against Des Bryant because they expected it to be man to man, and instead he let Des Bryant go, sat there in the zone, and Romo hit him in the numbers because Revis doesn't play zone, right? It was like the big thing. Like Salah's going to keep throwing changeup. So to think that because we do have two elite corners,
Right.
but you don't want to put all your eggs in that basket. So even with how good they are, Joyner is that bad at free safety. I'm going to put this into the universe. Everyone should know this. He's bad. Like there's no ways about it. And the Jets got to be smart about this. It's the weak part of the team is what's on the other side of Sauce and Reed. So it's a good question. But when you have nothing behind your corners, like you're gonna limit your gambles. Your front seven's got to be your pass rush. Period.
And that's
I'm
why
sure Salah would say the same thing.
And that's why Salah's here. I mean, that's what he did in San Francisco is he brought that defensive line with him and he rotated out. That's what Salah is here for and why I'm not really giving him a pass this year is because his defensive line with San Francisco was the thing that probably got him the job is the fact that he had that wide nine and he was able to rotate these guys in and out and still have success and keep guys fresh. That was his thing. Now, Andy says, why was our defense Swiss cheese versus a lesser than Lamar Jackson quarterback in Brissett? Well, I could tell you one thing, and it was the most contributing factor. There wasn't enough pressure from the defensive line, just like we were talking about. That's all that's about. Listen, someone tried to tell me, I forgot who it was. They were like, oh, well, Brissett can move. And I'm like, dude, Brissett has like a career, like 300 yards rushing, okay? Yeah, is he Joe Flacco? No. Okay. But he's not fast enough for these defensive ends that are absolutely explosive. The Jets just didn't get enough pressure on a Browns line that was superior to what they've been facing recently. And they beat them up. Let's not make this a mistake about this. The Browns ran all over the New York Jets. And if the Jets didn't win this game, we would be having a discussion about this defensive line once again. Are they falling into the traps that they did last season when they really couldn't stop the run? And it was really scary at times because when you needed that 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 to get shut down, teams would just run on us on 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, being like, we can get enough. And, so when you look at things like that, that kind of gets scary at times because we do, or I thought we do have a pretty damn good amount of talent on that defensive line. So listen, Steve Young always says it. I always say it now because Steve Young said it. I'm going to give this team 4 or 5 weeks before I fully evaluate the individual talent that is on the field. Now, the actual play, you got to come out and play ball. I think the Jets were able to do that this Sunday. So what's the next topic, JR? I don't even know. I forgot already, man. I'm trying to figure out what
but I couldn't agree with you on that point about pass rush enough. We cannot have 2 sacks against Joe Burrow. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, and here
this D line needs like 5 or 6. But anyways, we'll get into
that next. But we're going to talk about our old boy Joe Namath Joe Flacco 2.0 out here. I mean, look at this. 5 TDs, 616 yards, 1 interception. He's top 3 in passing yards in the league right now. He's having a very, very solid campaign number-wise. The first game was tough for him. It wasn't easy. Last game was Joe's breakout game. And I'm excited for him. You could see in the locker room chatter and all the theatrics afterwards that, oh, thank you, Everyday Bowlers. Appreciate that. You could see how excited the team was like for Joe. And I think this is awesome because like Kevin stated earlier in the program, this team is really, really young. And when you get a guy like Joe Flacco, they all respect him. There's a piece of them that's kind of like, yo, is Joe old, man? Like, what's going on? You know that has to be the talk, especially when you have a Zach Wilson that's rehabbing. And then Joe comes out like this, and they said that he was on the sideline walking back and forth, telling these guys if they're going to give us a shot here, let's be ready. They're going to give us a shot. When you come out and you orchestrate a drive like that with no timeouts and you use your young players as key cogs in being able to win the game, they're going to believe that much more. they're going to reach out for that football a little further than maybe they would when the team's 0-2 and they're struggling. They're going to get that. They're going to go for that extra hook. They're going to do these little things. They're going to dig just a little bit harder for Joe because they know that this guy's out here trying to put them in the best position to succeed. And a lot of people said, Kevin, what happens if the Jets get to 4-1? And I think you posed this question on Twitter, maybe. I'm not sure. I think you may have. What happens? And my answer to that would be you leave Joe Flacco in place at that point. And I'm being serious about this. At 4-1, now at 3-1, if the Jets win against the Bengals next week and Zach is ready, which if you want to play this game, I think you would want to put Zach in the next game after the Bengals game, because if Joe wins this game and they're 3-1 and they have a chance and they go 4-1, you have to, how do you tell your football team? Because this is the thing. I know he's a young guy. He's the future. He's whatever, this and that. But you can't keep preaching constantly, the best guy wins and this, and that. It's all about winning football. And you disrupt a chemistry that might be developing where you can have a special season. This guy is 20, what is he, 21, 22 years old. I mean, damn, Aaron Rodgers sat on the bench for 4 years. Chad Pennington sat on the bench. Guy sat on the bench for a little bit. If it's 4-1, I don't know if you touch that right away. I think you just go, listen, Zach, make sure you're 100% healthy, work this knee back. Just don't rush any point or bit of it. Now, the other side is the business side of it. You drafted a quarterback. You're going to have to pay him in 2 years or decide on paying him in 2 years. You want to get the work to see what he is. And that is what sucks about modern day sports, is that money and business contribute so much to the decisions, more so than you even think. Because obviously, when you have a chemistry, you don't want to disrupt that at any point in anything you do in life. And it's no different on the football field. But you got to play the young guy, so most likely you put Zach in.
All right. I'm super excited to jump on this topic, actually. This is what I really think. I don't think the coaches are going to get ahead of themselves. I think they're going to wait and see what happens in Cincinnati and worry about this on Monday. The Jets got a big fish in front of them, and we'll get to that topic in a second. But I'm telling you right now, if Joe throws for 300 and 4 touchdowns, they're not taking him out. They're not going to take him out. And the Jets are going to wait and see what happens, like they kind of waited to see what happened after Mike White's game before saying anything crazy. And it played out the way they probably thought it was going to play out. Now, with Flacco, there's a name that Mr. Smith used already that I want you guys to put in your head. Steve Young. That's the guy you want for this offense. So while I'm sure they're enjoying that Flacco has success, what makes this offense great is the bootleg. It's the bootleg. You run all these zone schemes, and while the offensive line goes left or goes right, and the defense adjusts to where the offensive line is going, your quarterback is running a bootleg. And the whole front seven is focused on the zone block, and they get extra time to throw, and they're not getting that right now with Joe Flacco. It's not what he does well. It's why they want Zach Wilson. It's why they drafted Zach Wilson.
Right.
Because his ability to throw on the run is as good as anybody in football. 60 or 70 yards. He can put it on the run. There's not many guys in the league who can do that. And you drafted Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore because they get down the field. And the Jets want to put that into their playbook. They feel like even with all Joe's success, there's a whole side of the offensive playbook they can't call that in your head. Think Steve Young and Ricky Waters and all those guys who ran all that action, and they also fed the tight end a lot, which we know from training camp practices, Conklin caught 1 million balls. And to all of a sudden switch to Flacco, who's a pocket passer, not moving around, that's what Conklin's been practicing in. So I hear all these people talking about drops and stuff like that.
Yeah, fumbles.
Yeah, but they've been playing with a totally different style offense than what they're playing in right now.
You still hold on to the football, though.
Your boy.
No, I hear what you.
But
I
Hall,
hear.
I mean, week one we had a lot of drops, and it is a little different. But I think that we'll see how Flacco goes. But the coaches in their head wants to turn that part of the playbook on and get Zach back. I'm telling you right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I can understand that 100%. And I think that's why I think after this game, if Zach is healthy, you install him because you don't let this build. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with riding the momentum because you know it's only a matter of time before Flacco gets exposed, not by anything of his own, just the fact he'll just have a bad game. And then you can make that switch with more of a transition that makes sense. If you put Zach Wilson in after Flacco throws 4 touchdowns against Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and Zach struggles, it's going to be even that much harder. So it's like a game and mental game because you want to put this kid in the right mental state. You know, these people, everything's about confidence with these guys, and feeling good. And so I don't know if Joe is playing this well, if you want to yank him right away. And Guy, we're gonna get those t-shirts, man. We're working on it. I've been moving like so much all over the place. So I'm gonna be settled in a couple weeks and then we'll start working on it. But one way that you can help us get on those t-shirts is by sending some stars on Facebook because we're able to get them now, man, because of you guys, because you guys are sharing and loving the show so much. Our viewership is enough to be able to get paid off of our cast. And actually, I was able to send the page some free stars. So if I don't know if Facebook is giving us some free money, but you guys can check right now. Hit that little shooting star on the bottom next to the comment bubble and see if they'll let you send some free stars because that'd just be free money because I clicked it and it said free. So I'm all about giving myself some free things. So I'll take it. But listen, it's one of those things. Just enjoy it, guys. Don't look so much into when is Zach playing, when is Joe. Like, just don't even look into that. Just enjoy the victories and enjoy the progress. And I say, let's just get into this Bengals game against the Jets. And because when you look at this game, guys, I mean, this is a winnable game for the New York Jets. Now, the Bengals are struggling right now. Their confidence is low, Kevin. I mean, Joe Burrows has been sacked in 2 games. I think I have the stat right here. I believe it's 13 times. Now, to put that in perspective, everyone is talking about the Jets' offensive line, correct? Joe Flacco had no time in the Bengals game. Joe Flacco has been sacked 5 times, 5 times to Burrow's 13. This is a younger quarterback who can move a lot better, and still, that is how porous this offensive line is. And because of that, Joe Burrow's timing has been rushed and he has 4 interceptions on the season already. This isn't some kind of new strategy in the league. When you don't have a good offensive line, it's hard to play. Now, what the Bengals were able to do last year happens to teams that have individual skilled talent that happens to catch fire. The offensive line gets a little fire lit under them. They go on a nice little roll. They start winning playoff games. That stuff happens, guys. It's even happened to the Jets, where the Jets, you look at their team when Rex Ryan first got here. They were talented, but they had no experience at being a big playoff team. Thank you for the stars. Appreciate it, guys. Amazing. We'll get on
Flow.
those t-shirts.
Let's flow.
So, listen, I'm looking at it like this, Kevin, and I know you are too. This is the time that the defensive line comes out to the party. It is this week more than any other week coming up. It's this one. Because if you can't feast on this line with Carl Lawson and company, when are you going to feast? Because here's the thing, the Bengals, they're hurting right now. They're not feeling too confident. And guess what? They're going back to New York, the place where they got stunned last year. And you can't tell me there's just that when they walk in there, it just doesn't at least pop in their mind like, damn, Mike White kicked our ass last year in here. I don't care what anyone says. Thank you for the stars, guys. Appreciate it. You can't tell me that. You cannot tell me that that's not happening in their mind. So if the Jets come out and smack the Bengals in the mouth right off of rip, I think you can catch this team off balance. I think they're not going to be able to run the ball like the Browns were able to run the ball. And I think the Jets defensive line is going to feel that difference in talent level from week to week. And I think that's going to help push them even more to want to go feast. Now, I love DJ and I love Sauce, okay? And but Sauce to me, I think he's going to be more suited playing against receivers that are more thin, more wiry, more fast, athletic. He's a small guy himself. I don't know if you saw Amari Cooper early on kind of body him on things. I think he needs to fill out just a tiny bit as he grows up. But I'm not worried about the outside so much. And I'm only concerned about the New York Jets stopping the run because I feel like if the Jets could stop the run, we have enough talent in the cornerback position that we'll be okay to be able to handle the onslaught that might be a Jamar Chase. I don't know. Is Higgins hurt for this game? I know I saw him limping off the sideline or something. I don't know if he's playing in this game. I'm gonna have to check. No, he's good. It looks like Sample, Collins, Pratt, and Hurst for the Bengals are guys that look out or questionable. So the Jets, it's not going to be an easy game. You're playing against a team that just went to the Super Bowl. It would be wise to smack them in the mouth early while they're still licking their wounds and attack on that offensive line. And the stars guy are in next to the comment section. But Kevin, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, this is it. This is a chance for the Jets to kind of get a leapfrog. You're coming off last game, confident team versus hurt team. What do you think?
Yeah, I think how you started is exactly where my head goes, right? Like, this is a week the defensive line needs to come to life. I think Lawson's still shaking off a little bit of rust, and Salah pointed that out in some interviews this week. And Jermaine Johnson, John Franklin Myers, Quentin Williams, Martin, Clemens. I mean, they got to come to play. Like, this is the week where you have to win the line of scrimmage more than any other week for the defensive line. And while I love Sauce and Reed, and I do think Sauce on Higgins and Reed on Chase makes the most sense, I'm 100% agreeing with you. They're still going to have safeties back, right? Because Boyd is no slouch in the slot. So Carter's going to get a lot of time. There's going to be a lot of safety stuff, hopefully, to make sure nothing comes over the top. So the defensive line needs to win, period. Period. On the other end, I mean, didn't they just lose to Cooper Rush? They just lost to Cooper Rush. So don't turn it over and don't give them any short fields and make them beat your defense. That's the only way the Jets can do it. And I think they can. Like, I mean, like I just said, there's guys that can make plays there, right? They were losing to wide receiver Brown. Lamb only had 75 yards. But I think this is a team that's right. Like, you're right. You got to jump on them and not give them any hope. The defensive line needs a big day. This is where I need Lawson to break out. And it's got to be a game that you just go toe-to-toe with them, and your defensive line gives you a chance. And I want to pick. We've got to pick every single week to start the season, right, Mr. Smith? We got to pick every week. The Jets got to keep that going. They need one of those turnovers, one of those big plays, or a strip sack maybe by one of these guys, or one of each, to be honest. But I'm looking for the defense they have to win this game for us.
Absolutely. And you do have those seasons where it's just like you get turnovers like that. The ball happens to just bounce and fall your way. We've seen that multiple times throughout Jet season. I'm hoping that this is one of those years where the kind of luck ball just drops our way. And that happens also when you have a lot of good young talent on the team because these guys are working hard and they're trying hard and they're not giving up. That's one of the mentalities of college football that doesn't get passed over to the NFL is that that rah kind of attitude. Everything becomes about money and professionalism, and that's understandably so. It's $1 billion business. But I think when you have a young team like that, it's exciting, and it's probably a little bit exciting for the veterans. You buy in a little bit more because these kids are listening, they're tuned in. This is their first action in football, in NFL football. And you look at a guy like Wilson, how could he not be jacked up? He comes from Ohio State, where he's used to winning, and then he comes to the New York Jets, and after a first loss and criticism about how he wasn't played enough, what's going on, he comes out and completely balls out, and that's why he's turned up like that. And you want these guys experiencing success from college and just jumping right into the pros, so their confidence is sky high, so they just don't even think about it. They're not thinking, man, like, I need to get back on track. What do I need to do to fix this? It's like, no, same old business. Garrett Wilson coming out here just stunting on everybody like I normally do. I told you what I was about. Y'all didn't want to listen. Now I'm here. So I'm super, super excited. I know he said, I'm hoping we win in a shootout. Defense still does. Well, listen, it could be. It could come down to one of those because, I think that the Jets will have an opportunity to really move the ball. I think if LaFleur is creative with his play calling, which he wasn't in game one, and he sticks to the run and he's creative, the Jets have so many weapons. There really isn't an excuse. And we talked about this on Jets Guru in the offseason when they were building this team for Zach Wilson, is that you shouldn't have a bad day. If you put Mahomes on this Jets roster with this talent, forget about it. I mean, Mahomes does it with anyone. I get it. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of talent from the running backs to the tight ends to the receivers. There's a lot to be had there. And so, for me, 100%, I think as long as LaFleur keeps that defense kind of off their toes, mixing a Braxton Berrios, mixing a Carter, these different things, I think that to keep the defense off balance, doing these little trick plays, I love seeing them. To me, that was when LaFleur was at the height of his play calling last year when he had all those injuries. He was being creative, calling football games, and the Jets were one of the best offenses in the league with their backup quarterback at one point in time with less talent that they have on the field now. So I think sometimes we forget that this is also new for LaFleur. Like he's putting his own offense together, including these new players. And I think now you've seen the full repertoire of Garrett Wilson. And I would expect, like, he's a starter to me. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, how do you not start Garrett Wilson off rip? That's what he is. That's what I see. Like, you come out and you have Jamar Chase ball out, right, with the Bengals. What do you think they're going to be like? Oh, we're going to sit down. We're going to sit him down because we got it. No. You play him. You play him a lot. You play him often. You play him in situations where you need big plays, and you see what can happen because this guy has the potential to be better than Elijah Moore. And you're so high on Elijah Moore. Imagine having Moore and Garrett. Like those could be the two guys that Zach Wilson can work off of. So I am super excited about that. Buddy. Now let me ask you, Kevin.
Game. What do you think
My
about
bad,
this
my
game,
bad.
JR? No, how do you feel about this game,
What
man?
do you think about this game?
Oh, me? I don't know, man. I'm kind of mixed about it right now.
You're going,
But
right? You and your son, you guys going?
no, I'm not gonna make this one. But we'll be
Okay.
watching for sure. But I don't know, man. I still got that bad mojo, so I'm gonna pick us to lose, unfortunately. But I hope.
What's the score?
I'm gonna go 24-17 Bengals.
Okay.
Flacco, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. 280. Let's go 285. 285 passing yards.
All right.
That's what I'm going with. So
Yeah.
All right.
No, it sounds realistic. For me, I'm a little more optimistic. I think we're going to keep the defense off the field. I think we're going to be able to move the ball. I believe in Hall and Carter. One of the things I've been impressive is in 2 games, we got 21 dump off balls to the backs, which keep the ball moving and kind of keeps you in that 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6, 2nd and 4 kind of situation. We actually lead the league in dump off passes to the running backs. And I think it's worked well and opened up things in the middle of the field. Conklin has got a lot of targets and stuff like that. And I think by doing that type of stuff, you keep Joe Burrow and Chase on the sidelines, right? And I think the Jets can still win here, like a 24-23 if they get those 5 or 6 sacks that we talked about. And we get 1 or 2 plays, a big sack that's a strip and maybe an interception, something like that. But I think the Jets can be right there in this game.
Absolutely, 100%. And one thing that gives me a little bit more confidence in a game where there could be some offensive firepower going off is the fact that Greg the Leg was able to get his first field goal kick, deep field goal kick as a
Yep.
Jets kicker and kind of get that out of the way. It didn't look pretty, but he crushed that football. That could have went maybe 59, something like that. So for me, I'm excited because if Greg could be consistent this year, if he could be consistent this year from 50 plus, it just when you have a guy like Joe Flacco who maybe can't move, you're going to have some drives throughout the game that stall out. But if you could get close enough where you can use this offensive talent where you can get in field goal range, man, those points add up 3, 6, 9. Like it just keeps going. And so you don't have to press. You don't have to say, okay, well, it's 3rd and 7. Let's try to get this first and we make a mistake and get a turnover. Maybe you say, okay, we do a screen pass here. We get 4. It gets us in Greg's line and we can go ahead and get some points that way. We don't have to take unnecessary chances if Joe's not hot, if there's too much pressure on him. There's things that you can do. There's games that you can play when you have good special teams. And this only bodes well for the Jets because we've been destroyed by bad field goal kicking over the last few years. And I'm sick and tired of it because when the Jets are good, they have good field goal kicking. And that's just a fact. So when we don't have a good field goal kicker, I already know how the season's probably going to turn out. There's too many wasted points on the board. The coach has to go for long 3rd downs that he necessarily don't want to. Go for it on 4th down when he doesn't want to because he doesn't have confidence in his kicker to make a 35, 40 something yard field goal. Like that stuff is child's play. So I'm very happy that they're actually getting to the point where they're sealing up these holes that are so important. Joe Douglas learned from the best, filling out the depth on the back end of the roster. It's something that Kevin's been talking about for years when discussing the Baltimore Ravens and how they were able to let Bart Scott, let Mosley, let all these guys just go, go, go. We don't care because we know we have elite scouting. We know that these guys are going to have time to grow in our system before they have to be thrust into the limelight often. And that's what the Jets often do because they're so lost on talent often that they just have to throw their new guys who may not be ready into the spotlight. But it's not happening necessarily like that anymore. The Jets are filling out their roster. Next year is going to be a very interesting draft for the Jets, seeing where they wind up here. But they already have so much talent that you're also giving them a whole nother draft class. So now you're going to see the filling out of the talent. You might see a guy like Corey Davis not be needed anymore. You might see a guy like Barrios not be needed anymore as they fill in these young guys behind them. So I'm super excited the way they're building this team. I did not like the way that they started in the Baltimore game. That did not make me happy at all coming off this offseason. And I love the response and the punch back in the Browns game. So for me, this is like a perfect storm for the Jets to really, really get some serious momentum going by facing a team that's heavily, heavily struggling. And you're a team that's coming off a nice comeback win in a hard fought game where Chubb was pounding you guys. You still hung in there enough to give your team a chance to go ahead and win the football game. I think that they'll have a little bit different of a matchup. And I think the Jets will feel more like bullies in this game. And that's the kind of mentality they need to have. Jump on these Bengals while they're feeling like trash. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Jets are going to win 30-21 in this game. I really feel like they're going to be able to put some points up on this Bengals team. I feel like the Bengals are really going to struggle. And the reason why I feel like the Bengals will eventually have 21 points in this game is because they're going to be coming from behind. I feel like the Jets are going to have like a 24-10 type of a lead, and they're going to have to turn it up a little bit. And when you do that, you pick up a lot of garbage yards and you have talented receivers so you can put some points on the board. But they could put some serious pressure. Now, here's the downside of it, right? Because I can't sit here and homer you guys to death. Okay, then come on the game after like, I don't know what happened. Well, they got Jamar Chase and they got Burrows. They went to the Super Bowl last year. I forgot. It was them. Here's the downside of that. if they do not put pressure on Joe Burrows, they allow him to get into a rhythm, get the ball out quickly. They allow him to get comfortable throwing to his multiple very talented targets in Higgins and Chase and these types of guys. If the Jets allow their offense to get rolling, then you could forget about it. It's going to be a close slash. The Jets are going to be fighting to hang in this game because this is not the squad to be playing with. This is the squad that you put your foot on their neck and you don't let them breathe. They need the one thing I'm just a tiny bit worried about is the Jets is I don't want them to blow all their energy and steam on last week. I want them to be hungry for this Bengals game because there's feasting to be had. So that's pretty much where I sit with it. So Kevin, you got the Jets winning. I didn't really hear anything there. You need to give me some scores and who's winning.
No, I think 24-23. I agree with you, though. I got the Jets win 24-23, but the middle of the field and safety definitely scares me. So it's not just Higgins. It's not just Chase. Tyler Boyd's a big-time slot receiver. And if he gets across the middle of the field, Carter's going to have an amazing game. And I wouldn't be surprised if Eccles gets a lot of play on the back end too, maybe as a dime back to help out a little bit with the two safeties. But you're right. Like if the Bengals came out, if the Jets let Burrow have as much time as Jacob Brissett had last week,
forget about it.
The game's over. Like if he has time, they have enough weapons where they will get open. And Chase is the smallest receiver I named out of Boyd and Higgins. Chase is the little guy.
Higgins looks like a tight end.
Yeah, so these are guys that can play. So I mean, the Jets offense, like I said, they can't do 3 and outs. They got to play complementary football, which is also what we've been talking about from the beginning, right? When the offense makes some mistakes, defense got to get a 3 and out. Same thing, vice versa. If we give up a score, the offense got to go get it back, or at least get some points on the board. And the special teams has to keep us in the games and not throw away possessions by short punts and missing field goals. All 3 units are going to have to perform because you're right. This isn't an easy battle. Like even last week, the Bengals were down 17-3, came back and tied it 17-7 and lost at the very end of the game. They're barely 0-2, guys. This is a big time football team. So the Jets got to come. It is a home game. Jets fans show out on Sunday. If you see the tickets on StubHub, pick them up. Don't let them all go to the away fans. Nobody wants to hear a bunch of Bengals chants and see half the stadium orange. Jets fans, get to the stadium, root for your team, be proud. And this is a hungry team that fights every Sunday. You gotta respect that.
Absolutely, and I'm driving 4.5 hours from Syracuse down. So y'all, the Jets better show up because that's a long drive back home. Same day driving. So as long as the weather holds up, I'll be down there. If you see me out there, please stop me, say hi, come to Lot D7, hang out. There's wonderful people there. Some of the best fans in any sport. And like I always say, Jet fans are the best fans in the world because for you guys to be able to deal with this, it's ridiculous. I mean, the second closest team to us, JR, I think said it last week, is like 6. We're at 11 years. You guys just really don't understand how different my life was 11 years ago. I didn't have a kid. I was married to a different woman. I was 120 pounds heavier than I am now. I was a police officer, which is something that I would never do today in a million years.
Hold up. What?
So that exactly, so I lived in South Florida. I now live almost at the tip of New York here. My life couldn't have been any different. That's like I can actually say that was a different person. So I don't know what's going on with the New York Jets, but I feel like Moses walking the desert 40 years and I need some help. So please, I'm begging them. This is the opponent to jump on and get that second win. You know how juiced up I'll be in my post game at the stadium if the Jets win for my 5-hour drive back home in the rain at night. It's going to be that's what's going to carry me. You know what's going to suck? Driving home in the rain at night off of a loss. That's what's going to suck. So I need the
JR, I think he said if he knew you 12 years ago, that right now you'd be on parole with an ankle bracelet. So
Hey,
he knows you now, not back then.
all I'm saying is I know about that long drive home.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Me too.
Absolutely. So hey guys, listen, we appreciate the support. Thank you for all the stars. Like I said, it's a new way for us to get some residuals off of the work that we put in that's going to be turned into, you know what? I'm just calling it right now. We got to make the receipt shirt. So I'm going to start working on it next week. We're going to make a Sala receipt shirt. It's going to be really cool. And we'll use all the funds that we have and that we get through the Jets Guru stuff to produce some, get those out there into the world, and see how it goes. All right. So we'll do that for you guys. I know a lot of people have been asking for merch, and especially with the receipts thing now, they definitely want to see that for sure. So we're going to have so many good things for you guys this year, man. We tried to give away tickets. You guys didn't want those. All you had to do was go on YouTube and like the stuff. We tried giving away a Braden Mann autographed picture. You guys couldn't do that either. So listen, you can't say that life's tough out there when the guru's giving out free swag and you guys can't even follow through. So make sure you're following through so we can get you some swag. We're going to be giving away a Legends jersey pretty soon. We're going to be scouring the eBay and see if we can pull out a Legend. We'll do some Jets trivia. So if you guys are interested in doing trivia with us for next week's show, please message us in our message box on Jets Guru and say you'd like to be interested in trivia to win some swag, and then we'll have you come on live or we'll have you call in and we'll do some trivia. So this is going to be a fun year for you guys that have been with us from the beginning. You know, it's been a slow crawl, but we're getting there. JR has us looking professional, cleaned up for church, got our dress clothes on and everything. So we're looking good. The page is looking good. Me and Kevin are hitting on all cylinders like usual. The train is running. And now we got our fans and we got our guru crew with us, man, holding us down. So appreciate all the respect and all the love. Shout out to End Zone. Shout out to Michelle and Euro. Shout out to D7, Simon. Shout out to Live Rounds. Shout out to Missions Brief. Shout out to Jets World. Shout out to Gotham City Crew. Shout out to Delgado out there making flags. Please get one from him if you need it. We've got so many talented Jet fans, so many passionate Jet fans. I mean, I can go on for days of all the cool people that do so many cool and different unique things in life that are Jet fans. So thank you guys for sharing the love with us each and every day. I really, really appreciate it. Yes, JR is the man, but he's ours first, okay? And all you people out there trying to steal JR from Jets Guru, just remember he's number one here at the Guru. So you're going to have to go through me first before you steal JR, all right? So thank you. Appreciate the love. I will see you guys Sunday. More stars. There we go. Thank you. We will see you after the Jets whoop up on Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and I'm going to start yelling and getting loud out here. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate the love. JETS, 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 Jets.
I can feel it. I can feel it. Coming in the air. I can feel it.